This is Sakshi this side, and here we talk about business analysis and finance. So today we will be talking about trade life cycle. So basically, your trade life cycle comprises of four stage: pre-trade, trade execution, trade clearing, trade settlement, and an additional bonus stage which is called as position and risk management. Now let's get started. Pre-trade basically comprises of one single step, that is initiation and pre-booking, that is your client onboarding or your investor onboarding. And then you move to the next stage, and wherein there are three important steps: order placement, order matching, and trade execution. Order placement is, let's say I want to buy a stock of a particular company for, let's say, $10. And I go ahead to my broker and place the order for it. That is your order placement. Order matching is nothing but when my broker goes looking and finds someone who wants to sell that particular stock for $10 and matches us. So that is order matching. And once that happens, the trade execution happens. All this is happening at front office level at T+0. T+0 is that very same day. Post this, we enter into the next stage, that is trade clearing, which comprises of multiple important steps. Key point to note here is your middle office is starting to get involved and most of the steps are being executed by them. Now, once trade execution happens, all this data is sent to the custodian. Custodian are generally your big investment banks which are around. Now, what two very key steps of this particular stage are trade capture and trade enrichment. Trade capture is nothing but when it captures all the data which is coming from the front office, and this is done at the custodian's level. Trade enrichment is providing some additional information. So this information comprises of two very significant parts. One is trade data, that is, name of the stock, quantity, price, date, and direction. Direction is nothing but whether it's buy or sell. Then second is your static data. Static data is something which remains constant. That is your client name, your contact details of the client. There's something, a key term called as standard settlement instructions. Like for example, bank account details of the investor or the client, then the currency, and in which currency the settlement would occur. So these kind of things. Now, once everything is in place, then your trade verification and validation happens. This is generally a check stage, and post that, contract notes, or you can call it as confirmation stage, wherein confirmation is said to the investor that check it whether everything is fine or not. Now, post this, what happens is all this information is sent to the clearinghouse. Clearinghouse is someone who is responsible for finding the net obligations, and they take on the counterparty's guarantee as well. Then transaction reporting happens. That is just your reporting stage. And post this, there's affirmation stage. So previously there was a confirmation stage. Affirmation is saying yes. Investor come back and say, yes, everything what you quoted, what you told me is absolutely right, and I'm ready to enter into trade agreement. And finally, the last step, that is the clearing step. Herein, what happens is clearinghouse gets in touch with the clearing member, and clearing member confirms everything to the custodian that everything is fine and good, and we can move on to the next stage, that is your trade settlement stage. Keep in mind, this step happens at back office as T+2, and your affirmation happened on T+1. Now, finally, the result of all this process is your trade settlement. When we talk about trade settlement, the first thing is settlement instructions. That means clearing members give details to the depository. Now, what is depository? Depository is someone who maintains pool of all these custodian accounts. And finally, we reach our transfer of ownership. That is your settlement, and that happens on T+3. Now, keep in mind this T+0, T+1, and so on depends on geographies and markets. For example, like India just went from T+3 to T+2, I think this January only. So keep in mind the markets you're talking about. Now the bonus stage. Now position and risk management is basically, all these institutions are looking at how does their portfolio looks like after execution of a particular trade. How is their risk look like? How is their counterparty risk looking like? What does their profit and loss? So these kind of things they try and figure out. This is what is called your position and risk management stage. Now some bonus learning. So there are three important dates when you talk about trade life cycle: trade date, value date, and settlement date. Trade date is when counterparties actually agree to do the trade. Then settlement date is again straightforward. Then when actual exchange for cash happens for these securities, then what is the value date? Keep in mind, value date is when these counterparties are contractually obliged to change cash for these securities. So when contractual obligation happens is your value date. Oh, that's all about trade life cycle. Hope you liked the video, and we would be putting forward similar videos in future. In case you want the download of this particular Excel, it's available just for $2 Canadian, and I would share the link in the description for the same. Thank you all for watching the video.